Welcome into another edition of SC Checks In, presented by First Texoma National Bank. We've got the Southeastern women's basketball head coach, Darin Grover, with us, 2020 GAC champion head basketball coach, I should say. Coach Grover, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm not quite as festive looking as you are today, Seth, but I'm doing very well.
Well, I'm trying to bring the Christmas spirit. It's about that time. So I've worn this hat almost every day for 2 weeks, and I don't know how people take it, but that's okay. So, like I said before, Darin's the head women's basketball coach, 2020 GAC champion. This will be his 16th season at Southeastern. So he's been here for the long haul. And I'm going to go ahead and say this because this will make him feel really good. I was in Darin's classes when I was a student here. So I had to throw that in there. So
yeah, that doesn't make me feel very good at all. So,
so we'll kind of get started, and we just want to check in with you, see how the fall went. I know we've all had some unique challenges, but I think basketball has probably had the most, because at one point we were working out, practicing, and we didn't really know what we were practicing and working out for. So we'll just kind of start there. I know in the spring we had some things just get absolutely derailed, and then over the summer we didn't know. We had no clue what was going to happen, and there's a lot of uncertainty. But when we got back to campus and you got to meet with the team the first time, what was that like?
I think that all of us experienced the fact that it was odd, with everything from just the mask wearing to socially distanced. Where we would meet, many times it was in the bleachers with everyone socially distanced, and so there was just barriers in communication, right down to even when we practiced and we had masks on. So it was just, the whole thing was just odd. But I think all of us were happy that we were actually here and be able to be here and meet and be able to get out on the floor. When it took a little while to be able to get to that point, we were honestly, I think all of us coaches were just a little bit scared that we weren't even going to get to practice. Forget competition, just the fact about get our kids on the floor and be able to practice. And fortunately, we were able to start to do that. Yeah, it was just really an odd feeling coming back and having all those kind of barriers that we had never experienced before.
You all get back. We had one major difference from the fall and the spring. Talk to me about the returning players and the new players being able to see the weight room and strength conditioning facility done.
Oh, I think that they were, I know that they were anticipating it and then fired up whenever they got to go in there for the first time and work out. Just the technology that's in there, the fact that it's bright and branded, and just everything is first class and as good as you'll see anywhere. I think was exciting to our kids. And many times when our players are going to the weight room, they may dread it, but it's a whole lot easier to go into a place like that is first class in every way.
It is definitely a great addition for us, and it's awesome to see the kids when they walk in and see how it's completely different. Because if you saw what we used to work out in this, it's night and day. It's like, oh my. And so you bring in a new team, got some new faces, got some returning kids. Talk about your new team compared to last year.
A lot of freshmen, a lot of newcomers. So it was a lot of teaching. And when we first got in here, we were basically, we couldn't do any kind of contact. So it was all skill development, 1-on-0 type stuff. We was working on passing, dribbling, and shooting without any contact, which honestly was probably pretty good for us with as many newcomers as we had, because it takes a lot of teaching to do that. Now, unfortunately, part of the learning process is contact, is basketball. Some people might not consider it a contact sport, but it is. Mm-hmm. And so part of that learning is just learning how to play with each other and in contact. So yeah, it's been a lot of teaching, but I'll tell you, our returners, and we met just yesterday, and I mentioned this to my returners, or actually to the whole team. Our returners have been fabulous about their leadership. They're stepping up and being intense and showing our new ones how to do it every single day, how to come to practice and work hard every day. And of course, every coach is going to say those same things. I get it, but I'm completely sincere about that. I feel like that our freshmen are going to owe these upperclassmen something, just for the fact that they have shown them the way and how to exactly go about practicing in college and the kind of intensity and focus that they need to have every single day in college basketball practices.
That leadership is so crucial. And, I saw it the other night when we were doing some stuff with them about, some preseason photo shoots and stuff like that. They were very locked in, ready to go, and they got the task done. Coaching staff had a little bit of change in your coaching staff. Talk about that a little bit and the transition about that.
Sammy Joe Cotton Black has been with me. She actually played for me in junior college and then played here for me once I got here. And then as soon as she ended up graduating, had an assistant position open up and I hired her, and she had been with me ever since. She's kind of transitioned to an instructor role on campus in the kinesiology department. She still comes in and is still on our coaching staff, but Kaylee Ragsdale, formerly Kaylee Baxter, played for us for 3 years, GA'd for us for 2 years. Actually had a 2-year stint there with Fellowship of Christian Athletes, but I was fortunate that I had somebody as a graduate assistant that showed her talents, and maybe more importantly, just the want to be at Southeastern and try to help our basketball program. And so it was a 2-year job interview for her, and she passed that interview in every sense of the word, and has been fantastic this year with our team, with recruiting, and everything that I wanted. And I knew that she would be. I had no doubt that she would be able to deliver on that, and she has been great so far.
We definitely know that that's a great addition to Southeastern basketball. And I don't think this is said enough, but I want to get your thoughts on it. We talk about all the time with us, every day is different with everything that's happening outside of our campus, things we can't control. I feel like these kids were in an ever-changing environment literally every day. They would get up and they don't know if they were going to be able to go to weights or go to practice, or had to quarantine because of something that is outside of their control. And I don't think we give these kids enough credit because, at one point, your team, we didn't know what we were practicing for. So what was your message as a coach to those players, keeping them motivated, keeping them locked in from, August till when you all actually started and we announced that we're going to have a basketball season?
I think it's true with all of our coaches in our athletic department. We knew that we were going to have to be strategic about how we were going to conduct our practices. We could not just do it exactly the way we've always done it. First off, that was kind of to some degree forced on us because we had to do no contact for a while. And then you add in the masks. Our players, for those of them that don't know, but our players wear masks every day in practice, all throughout practice, and the coaches do as well. So when you walk in the arena, everyone's got a mask on, and our kids, a lot of people find that strange that our players are literally playing in masks throughout the whole practice. So we knew that we were going to have to change some things up because we weren't going to have any scrimmages, games, or anything in the first semester. So it was going to be a challenge to try to motivate our kids to play every day and compete every day without any promise of getting to play for a while. We didn't really know for sure whether they're going to play at all. And so, yeah, it was something we had to talk to our kids every single day about to stay motivated. I mentioned earlier the leadership of our returners, and they helped our new ones along. But you mentioned about our kids don't get enough credit. Kids are resilient, and too often in society we act like the kids these days are this and that. Kids are resilient, and these kids have probably handled things better than many adults have. They've come in and worked every single day and been hooked up, and it's been completely outside of what the norm is for them. And then you think about these freshmen that come in and they've been excited about getting to play a college sport, and it's been unlike any other year ever in college athletics history. And so to be able to come in, these kids go into the weight room and practice every day, and still show the desire to come to practice every day. And yesterday actually was our last practice leading into the Christmas break. And our kids, I let them go a day early because of their attitude every day after all the kids had left after a Thanksgiving break and all of that. When they normally might have already gone home for Christmas, they've shown great attitude, focus, but that's been true all the way since August.
You're exactly right. These kids are resilient, and the adaptability they've had to adapt to different schedules and lifestyle changes and things like that has been fantastic. Recruiting, how's that been? I know for a while we weren't allowed to recruit. We weren't allowed to go off campus. We weren't allowed to do certain things. How's that been for your program right now during all this?
To be honest, I have not been in a recruiting car since I looked it up. I haven't been in one since last January, I believe. It's been a long time since I've been in a recruiting car because normally throughout the spring, especially in April, and then moving into July, we are out a lot with club basketball, summer basketball. Some people just refer to as AAU basketball. We're out at a lot of those events. Well, those events, first off, we couldn't go out. We weren't allowed to go out. And so we watched all that stuff online. And even now, since we've been able to go out, there hasn't been, it's been hit and miss on whether events even happen or whether you can get into the gyms and watch games. So the kids have been coming to us, these student athletes have been coming to us for their visits. And it has been, I wouldn't say it's necessarily been a challenge. It's just been different because of the masks, because of normally a lot of the visit, we might be in my office with the whole family. Well, that's pretty close quarters. So we've been meeting in our blue and gold suite quite a bit, or our film room where we can spread out a little bit more. It's been different than it ever has. We actually had a visit yesterday with a girl and her father. And so much of that stuff is we try to avoid necessarily even going into restaurants if at all possible. If we want to take them out to eat, yesterday we fed them in the blue and gold suite, just went out and got them something and we ate up there. And that way we can distance and feel comfortable about it with it. And they can feel comfortable as well. So I wouldn't necessarily say it stopped recruiting at all. I mean, I feel like that we've been good. We signed 3 in the early period. We've had a number of 2022s in. And so, and we're still looking. So I think that we've plowed forward with it and had some really, really good visits. That's something that a visit is not just myself and my coaching staff. As you know, we have other people that are involved in visits and on the athletic staff, and that helps. And I think that everybody has really pulled together and pulled all that stuff off.
It has been nice though to see when we do have visits, to see us bringing kids to campus and showcasing what Southeastern can offer. And especially in the arena, we've got the arena, the basketball film room, the weight room, and we've got administrators on campus that want to talk to our recruits as well. That's also another positive. So we'll kind of end the fall right there. Just the overall fall, some positive you saw from your team practice wise, how they handled all this, just some positives that you saw as a coach.
I'll repeat again. I think that our kids, just their work ethic and their focus, they were fun to work with this fall, even with all the problems that we had. Or I shouldn't say problems, but the lack of a promise of playing scrimmages and games and all that. Our kids were fun to coach, and now there's been some frustrations with it from just the normal frustrations of a big freshman class, and so you have that learning that goes with that. And them playing with the intensity and the consistent intensity that they have to learn to play with in college basketball. So that, there's frustrations with that, but that's true with any time that you have a big freshman class. But they have been fun to coach. Our returners, and you talk about Cameron Cantwell and Briley Moon and Jordan Benson and Katie Branham, Hayden Williams, Chandler Kemp, Casey Monk, Haley Belvin. All of those girls have been fantastic about upping their level. And what I will say, we were in a pandemic in the spring and the summer. We still are in a pandemic. Those kids had limited access to facilities, and without exception, every single one of them that was able to, as far as healthy goes, they upped their game. And again, I'll say this, I hate cliches and all that stuff, and every coach is going to have positive things to say, but I can honestly say that every single one of those players, some even more than others, they really upped their game and came in ready to play, and their skill sets were better than when they left in March.
That's great to hear. So we're going to transition now. You said you had your last practice yesterday. The kids are now officially on Christmas break. They report back December 28th.
Yes, December 28th.
So they'll be coming back December 28th, and actually we have scrimmages scheduled coming up shortly after that, and then we're going to be in basketball season, and so we're excited. to be able to play and have some scrimmages and be able to play against other people. And especially, we're not allowed to have fans. And so that's going to be an interesting dynamic for sure, being able to play without fans. But, talk about just being able to, what it's going to be like to go against people that aren't Southeastern student athletes.
Oh, I can speak for every player on our team and every staff member and say that they're going to be looking forward to that day, that when we scrimmage. So I think our kids, whenever they come back on the 28th, even though I think that they were all ready for this break, when they come back on the 28th, they're going to be able to see light at the end of the tunnel, and that's going to be in the form of that first scrimmage, and then really, really shortly after that, our first game. And I think that our kids are going to be extremely excited to be able to go up against somebody that's different. And then on the other side of that, it's going to really tell us to some degree after we finish that first scrimmage where we're at. That's what's been difficult, is evaluating exactly where our team is.
The schedule's a little different this year. We're doing divisions, so we will not be crossing over into Arkansas at all. So we will have an all Oklahoma schedule. What do you think about that? Is it just, I know the old cliche and you hate them. It doesn't matter who we play. We got to play our game. But, I think it's going to be an interesting thing to be able to play the same team a few times.
Well, I at this point, I think all of us would agree that, hey, I don't care. We got to play games. And if it means playing a team 4 times, we'll play a team 4 times. What I think is going to happen here is the first time that we play a given team is going to be kind of like what we always experience. The second time we play them, again, it'll be where we make some small adjustments here and there. Mm-hmm. The third and fourth time when we play these teams, I think that we're going to have to be ready as coaches, because there may be some major adjustments that people make that just completely change how they defended you. Because what happens is you play somebody once and we just roll it out there and we play like what we normally play. And then the second time you make some small adjustments, thinking, okay, if we just do this a little bit better, then we can win this game. And then if you don't win that one, you may make some overhaul changes on how you defend somebody or what offensively you do against somebody. So it'll be interesting to see what the maneuvers that coaches are going to make between the first to the second to the third, and of course the third to the fourth. And who knows, there could be a fourth to the fifth. If you get into the conference tournament, you could go the second round, you could go play a team a fifth time, which would be unheard of, I would think.
That would be. We were talking about that the other day. That would be. I don't know. That'd be tough. But again, when I played baseball here, we played 4-game series, so we're playing the same team 4 times in a weekend. And so you think that's a big deal, but I know it's a different sport. But the lineup is typically still the same. So I don't know how that will be. So
probably what will be more than unique than anything is literally going to these towns twice in a given year. So you go to Shawnee once, and a month later you're going to go right back there again. And I think that maybe is going to be as unique as anything.
That might be a little different for sure. So we'll kind of transition. We're super excited to have games, to host games. I will say our broadcast partners are the best in our region. They showcase our games and student athletes fantastic. So if we aren't allowed to have fans, you are going to get a quality basketball game that's streamed at the Southeastern Sports Network. And I will say it will feel like you're watching a college basketball game on TV. Our partners do a great job. And we have to say that in there because they do everything for our kids. They want our kids and our parents to be able to see their kids play, and that's a big priority for them. So if we aren't allowed to have fans overall, the games on Southeastern's campus are going to be streamed, and they are high-quality games. And we've got high-quality people that love showcasing that for our fans and showcasing our student athletes.
I'll say a couple things about that. First off, in fact, I mentioned that we had a recruit in yesterday, and we mentioned that to our recruits every single time that they come in. If their parents aren't able to come to our games in person, that the games are streamed, and it's like watching a game on TV. I mean, that with the play-by-play, Jay and Bob do a great job. That the product is first class. So we talk to our recruits about that, and I know that the parents of our players and other fans appreciate the quality, the high quality that they produce there. Second thing I'll say about that, I've been talking with Katie Webb, who now works in the athletic department, and she has been talking about downloading her games that she played in, and she's been downloading some of those games off of Mix simply because, she could go to our Synergy is what we use for our platform for video downloads. She could go download many of those games from Synergy, but she'd rather download them from Mix because of that,
Yeah.
the production value of them. And so I think that's something that's unique for us. And we should be appreciative that we actually have that. In fact, Bob Solons was in here this morning just a little while ago, and I just appreciate having that kind of partnership with both Bob and Jay.
I do too. They love Southeastern. That's another big thing. They love Southeastern. They've been around Southeastern. And another big thing too is, from a recruiting standpoint, our games are free to watch. That's another thing. I don't think we ever need to get to a point where we're trying to monetize a college basketball game, because I think it is a recruiting advantage for us that everything we stream, other than if we ever got into at another school, but everything on our campus is free to watch. And so they love being able to showcase that. So we'll transition into this. I said you've been here 16 years. So I ask everybody I talk to, why Southeastern?
Good question. I coached junior college basketball for 10 years. I was the assistant at NEO, which is in Miami, Oklahoma, about almost 4 hours to the northeast of here. I was there as an assistant for 7 years, and then I was a head coach for 3 years. I'm actually, I can't remember. I was on a road trip and we were either in Poto or Wilburton. I don't remember which one, but I'm on a bus on NEO's bus driving home. It's probably, I don't know, 11 or midnight. And I get a phone call, and it's Sammy Joe. She had been a former player of mine at NEO, and she went to a Division I school at Southeast Missouri, and then ended up transferring to Southeastern Oklahoma at some point. After that year at Southeast Missouri, she had actually gone to Oklahoma City University and then ended up here at Southeastern. Well, she calls me up and says, "Hey, the coach here is retiring." Of course, she was speaking of Nick Keith. She said he's retiring. And Sammy is very matter of fact and to the point with everything she ever says. And she just says, you need to apply for this job. And at the time, I loved my job there at NEO. And I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll do that. I'll get right on that. So so I didn't even know anything about Southeastern. To be honest with you, I didn't know the difference between Durant and Duncan. I just didn't know anything about it at all. Well, so she calls back the very next day. She said, did you call about this job yet or not? And I said, no, I haven't called about that. I'm not really interested. Well, then I started checking into it, and called Dr. Jeff Hale, and actually called Tony Robinson, our former men's coach here, as well about the job, just to checking in on it and trying to find out more information. And really so then I even got to the point I decided, well, I'm going to put my stuff in, whether I wanted or, wasn't 100% sure whether I wanted to leave or not. And then Dr. Hale started talking to me about the arena hadn't been built yet, and the commitment to that, and the fact that Durant was a growing community. Well, after I put my stuff in, and I can't remember if I had actually interviewed for it or not yet, but there was a guy by the name of most people on here probably hadn't heard of him, but many Durant people will. But a guy by the name of Boyd Converse, who's a Hall of Fame member in Southeastern's Hall of Fame, played, I think, every single sport. Actually, as a coincidence, was the former athletic director at NEO years ago. I get a call from Boyd Converse. Actually, I got a call from my dad. Boyd had called my dad and given him my number, and I got a call from Boyd. And he's or Dr. Converse, I should say. I shouldn't say Boyd, but and he basically just started talking to me about Southeastern and Durant, and he loved this place and just loved it. And so I came and interviewed, and was fortunate enough that Dr. Hale offered me the job. And this has been a tremendous place to raise my family. That's one of the first things that Tony Robinson told me after I got the job here. He just said, Durant's going to grow on you, and you're going to love it here, and you probably won't leave. And at the time, I got the job when I was 32. So we're talking about at the time, I didn't know exactly where I wanted to be and for a long period of time, but it's obviously been a great place to raise my family, and it's been good to me, and the people here have been great, and we've been fortunate to have some success here. So,
well, I was trying to look this up because I forgot to have it on there. If you think of Southeastern women's basketball, we've had two head coaches over the last 36 years. Coach Keith from 1981 on, and then I think he 01, and then you took over. And so we've had great tradition here. I know for a fact you've had 2011 and 2020 NCAA tournament appearances, and I was going to look up the overall you've had in your career and in total, because like I said, having two head coaches in 36 years shows how good of a place this is and how great of a place it is to play basketball at Southeastern. You know, people come here and they don't want to leave. You know, if you look on the men's side, we've had the same situation, two head coaches over the last or certainly a long period of time. I don't know the numbers. And so, you know, we've got great traditions here at Southeastern, and you know, we couldn't do that obviously without you all, your recruits, the way you play, but also our fans, our donors, our supporters, people in town and the community. You know, they love Southeastern basketball. You know, last year we almost, you know, we hit a major milestone in ticket sales because people wanted to see the men and women play, and both teams also were nationally ranked at the same time. And so we had a fantastic year last year, and we're hoping to carry on that tradition of great Southeastern basketball. So I know we're getting kind of close to time, and you know, obviously it is the holiday season. What are your Christmas plans?
Normally, we would be. I would be going to see our family. Would be going to meet up with my whole family. I've got a twin brother, and I've got two sisters, two older sisters. We would be meeting up with all of their families at my parents' house. And with the pandemic, we did not do that with Thanksgiving, and we're not going to do it with Christmas either. So really, we're going to be, the Darin Grovers are going to be staying in Durant. And so really, it's going to be a unique year. Though I can't remember that we had a number of years ago, we had a big snowfall on Christmas Eve. And so when we weren't able to go travel on Christmas Day, but we were able to travel on the 26th. So it'll be, I'm not sure how long ago that was, but it'll be unique, kind of like what that year was, except that we're not going to go at all. So it'll all be, I want to be able to see my family. I want to be able to see my parents, but in the end, it'll be, to some degree, it'll be kind of nice because it'll be a slower pace situation. Because, you know, when you're a coach, you're always in a hurry to get back here to get ready for practice. And with Thanksgiving, we didn't have to do that. And with Christmas, we're not going to have to do that as well.
Well, I appreciate you sitting down, taking time to do this. I asked to say, is there anything else I didn't ask that you want to say, or I should have asked?
I think that we are extremely excited about being able to, the prospect of getting to play. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to have fans for at least the first 2 weeks, but I would encourage people to do what you mentioned earlier and tune into our games and continue just that habit of watching Southeastern athletics in general as we all get to play. You mentioned how our season last year and the crowd support. I think, you know, the year that with the men, and of course our men, the last 2 years have been fantastic, and to have both of our teams have the kind of success that we had over the last few years and hopefully continuing on is not something that is easily achieved. And I think that whenever you have teams that have success, I would encourage everyone to support them any way that you can. And these kids, I think, deserve our support. They come to work every single day. This is a job for them, and they come to work every single day. And our fans have been great about it. And I will miss this year, at least for the first 2 weeks, and hopefully at some point we get to have fans. But I'll miss hearing that, you know, behind. And so I know that our kids are anxious to be able to play, and hopefully people will tune in to mix and watch them.
It is I tell people all the time, we're the biggest show in town when we're playing. You know, the fan experience you get, the engagement you get from the crowd and the student athletes, especially being at our level. That's what I love about our level is our kids can be on the court, but then they could be at a restaurant after, and people in town know who they are. It's a big deal to be a Southeastern athlete in this town. And it's a fantastic thing to be able to play and go to Walmart and people know who you are. And that's one unique thing that I love about what we do here. So, well, Storm fans, Coach Grover, sat down. Appreciate you taking time. Catch us out on the Southeastern Sports Network early on. First game of the year is on the road, January 7th. And then we'll play January 9th on the road. First home game, it'll be Monday, January 11th. Again, streamed for free on the Southeastern Sports Network. Coach, thanks for taking time. Put your feet up, get some rest, because it's about to get crazy.
Appreciate you doing this, Seth.
I appreciate it, and I thank you so much. Go Storm.